Okay, I think we're live. Anybody's guess? Hello, Jarvis. Can you hear me now? I don't know. Hey, you can. Looks like we actually have. Looks like we're live. All right. Okay, Jarvis has found where he wants to nap, it looks like. And just to let everybody know, we are actually officially streaming to 3 places at once this morning. So hence the delay in getting going. My apologies for that. This afternoon stream will start a little bit more on time. We've got one more channel that we want to try and get up and rolling. Okay. Yeah, Jarvis is settling in for a nap. Unfortunately, he's not going to be able to stay here. But yeah, we will. All right. Not sure why, but it looks like live now. I might be streaming twice to YouTube. We'll figure it out. In any event. All right. Yes, so we are streaming out to 3 different places in this afternoon. Hope to have it set up where we will actually be streaming out to 1 more place. So we'll be streaming out to 4 places at once. Isn't that exciting? And Jarvis here would like to show you that he's settling in for a long nap. But that doesn't really contribute to getting things done. So he's going to have to move. All right. So what are we going to be working on today? First of all, I just want to take a quick minute to say I hope everybody out there is feeling healthy. I know that during these times that you're probably a little bit bored, and that's part of the reason why we're doing what we're doing here, to help you not be quite so bored, and hopefully in the process learn some things about the what we do here, and maybe take away some knowledge that you can build and create some of these things on your own. We're here to answer questions. Jarvis is here, of course, to provide any questions that cats may have. And but yeah, so practically speaking, we are going to be creating a mold. This will probably be during this afternoon stream. We're going to create a mold. We need to create a mold for this. Need to mold a few of these, and I'll tell you more about why this afternoon. You want to hold that for me? And then we're going to be working on a reverse bear trap mask. We're actually going to cut out the templates. The last one, I got smart. The last one that I made, I actually took some tracings of the major components and made some templates, which we will be using those to speed up our build. And I've been getting some requests through our Etsy store for templates for different things as well. So we're going to go ahead and at some point be offering those templates to those that want to pay a small fee and download those, and following along with the videos or the live streams, build their own items. Or, as always, we're available to build it for you if you either get frustrated or you just don't have the time or don't want it. I'm going to show you some new techniques too. This is pretty cool. And we're going to show you what this was actually used for. we're going to show you some techniques on how to make some branch or stick looking objects that are posable, shapeable, and will retain their shape. But yeah, I'm going to walk you through that too. So, a lot on the docket for today or this morning and this afternoon. This morning, again, sorry for the late start, but it was more about getting things up and rolling here with the multiple streams and just kind of proving that the concept works. I have a centralized chat too, so hoping somebody will chat and engage with us here, so we can test that out. So feel free to ask your questions. I'll try to keep an eye on the individual streams as well, just in case the chat doesn't work as well. Actually, maybe I could initiate a chat here. I'll just say good morning. Oh. And I'll try to spell it all correctly. There we go. Let's see if it pops up. Good morning, everyone. And it's going to YouTube, Facebook, and yep. How about that? Popped right up. Well, that's pretty nifty. All right, Jarvis, buddy, say goodbye. You gotta move. Or at least sit back here behind me. That'll work too. All right, so let's get down to the nitty gritty of doing stuff. I'm going to switch cameras, or try to. All right, table camera, engage. Let's grab our templates. The first thing we're going to want to do is get these things cut out. Would you believe, in my efforts to clean my space, I've actually misplaced my knife. That's kind of one of the primary things I use. Got the knife sharpener, but not the knife itself. Give me 1 second here. There it is. Okay. Nice sharpener. Let's grab that baby. I could use scissors to cut these out, but I feel like I'm a little bit more exacting and productive using the knife, so I'm just going to use what I'm used to. And I always say use the tools that make the most sense for you. All right. So one thing I've learned producing multiple projects and multiple items is you want to label your parts. So we're going to call this saw. And then BT after it for bear trap. I guess we could do RBT for reverse bear trap. Why not? Okay. Don't need that. And of course, those of you who have seen us build our Thor suit before, you know what this one is. This is actually the pec plate skin that goes over top of the shaper underneath. I just realized something too. We should probably share this out to the other groups like I usually do. Let's go ahead and do that. Give me 1 second. demo video. Not sure why that happened. I'll change that later. Alright. So let's share it out there. Give me 1 second here, folks. I forgot to do this, a little out of practice. Okay, we're almost done here. Cosplay on a budget. That's definitely a good group to share this with, because we're all about helping people build stuff on a low budget, and if possible, found items on a no budget. Alright, I think that's good enough for now. Okay, back to where we were. So let's get these templates cut out so we have them on hand. And if you have any intent of building more than one item, can't tell you how much having a template on hand speeds things up. Now, most of the templates that I use, some of the items are my original creations or interpretations of an item, so the templates are pretty much custom in that regard. The other thing is over the years I've developed ways of taking existing templates and, after a couple of different builds, figuring out a way to actually what's the word I'm looking for? To combine templates and reduce the number of pieces that it takes in order to build something or to create something. So I've been thinking about, and I probably will, due to people asking for specific templates, like the Thor suit, for example. For those of you who have seen my Thor builds, and if you haven't, just check out the history on the Laughing Dragon. Pretty efficient to start with because I created the templates originally. There's I built a Mark IV, Mark 17, and a War Machine suit, the Iron Man suits. I have templates for those. Now, those templates started off as other people's templates, but over the years and through consecutive builds, I've been able to actually refine and combine. There we go. That's the term. Refine and combine to simplify and make the templates more efficient. Not only to speed up the build, but also to use fewer pieces of foam or whatever you're using to build the suit. So it not only goes faster, but the overall build, because you have fewer pieces you're gluing together, is actually a lot stronger. Take the Mark IV bicep, for example. When I first started building that, the templates, if I remember right, the total number of pieces in that build for a bicep was around 20 pieces. And I've been able to combine and refine the number of templates, or number of pieces, I'm sorry, required to build a bicep on a Mark IV. Now I think I've got it down to 10 pieces. So literally cut the number of pieces in half. Same thing with the chest plate. I think the chest plate, the front half of the torso on a Mark IV was, I think it was around 22 pieces, if I'm not mistaken. And I've got it down to, I think, 11. So I'm thinking about turning those templates out into the community so people can build a. And the nice thing is too is because you have fewer glue joints, it actually makes the suit look a lot smoother and more like it was actually like formed out of metal or whatever, rather than a bunch of pieces glued together. Right. Okay. So for those of you just joining us, I was telling everyone earlier, and actually I don't think there were many people watching when I made the announcement, so I'll make it again. This marks a first. We're actually, right now, we're streaming through the creative use of software applications. We are actually streaming to, this morning's stream is going to 3 different places at once: YouTube, Twitch, and Facebook. This afternoon we'll be adding Periscope through Twitter. So we'll be actually streaming to 4 places at once. Pretty exciting. So once we get these pieces, or these templates cut out, we're going to transfer them over to our foam. Alright, circles are always fun. Let's go ahead and cut it out. And then we have a much smaller piece to deal with here that we can go ahead and be a little bit more accurate in our cut. Take your time for 2 reasons. First of all, you'll get a better cut. And second of all, you won't slip and cut yourself, which is never a good time. Putting quite a bit of pressure on us to make sure we get all the way through the first time. Sticking your tongue out does help, for those of you who wonder. Alright, so that is the first of our templates. Actually, we have more templates. I'm going to grab those in just a second. But those are the ones that we cut out here for our saw reverse bear trap mask. I'll put that over here on this side. We don't need that right now. I keep my templates in an envelope. The cool thing is too is if there's additional notes that you want to make as far as construction goes, you can write on the front of the envelope rather than writing it down somewhere on a piece of paper and then losing it, which I've done before. Alright, so here's the rest of our templates for the reverse bear trap mask. Well, what do you know, we already had one of those. Which one is the better template? I like this one here. I'm going to transfer my notes to it. There we go. And we'll get rid of this one so there's no confusion. Alright, so these are the templates for creating our reverse bear trap mask. So that is the next step, is to take these and transfer them over to our foam. Let's get some foam. I'll be right back. Ta-da! We have foam. Okay, so, oh, and we do have some pretty, I was mentioning this earlier to our viewers, we do have some pretty cool stuff, some new stuff that we're not only building, but we're also going to be introducing on our Etsy store that use some new techniques, and pretty excited about showing it to you all. You know, I just realized my camera's off a little bit. There we go. Straighten that baby out. Okay, so first things first. I need to transfer all of. Let's move one of our templates off to the side. I'm going to separate the ones here that I know are for the thinner foam. And then we can trace those. And then we'll move to the heavier foam, which will be one of these. This is actually, that's a 6 mil. Yeah, okay. That is a 10 mil. That's 10 mil times 2, as is that, as is that, and that, and that. That's the bottom, that's the lock, and this is both. Okay, that requires, okay, alright, we're good. Okay, gotta grab one more thing, give me a second here. Be right back. And we're back. So, people ask me what foam I use. I use foam from Harbor Freight. I also use some of the premium foams from SKS Props, as well as foam by Yaya Han, TNT Cosplay. Just a few of the sources, obviously. We also have the Michaels and Hobby Lobby foam, different thicknesses, different densities that I use for different products. One thing I want to point out, and I got this, my wife actually ordered this for me. This is a chalk pencil. Anybody who's used a pen on foam, no matter where you get it from, you find it always has a tendency to dry out your pens, and if you use marker, that has a tendency to bleed back on you. It kind of makes a mess. These chalk pencils, let me hold this up so you can see it. I think she got them off of Amazon, but it's a pastel chalk pencil, and it works really great on darker colored foams. It never doesn't mark, there's nothing more frustrating than trying to, especially if you're in a hurry, tracing things out, and then having your pen dry out, and you're sitting there tapping it out or shaking it or whatever you can do to try and get it work. I'd go through like a couple of pens at a time, or I'd rotate pens trying to get them to work. But the chalk pencil, and I haven't tried it on like the medium colored foams. Obviously on a white foam like the SKS Props foam, this wouldn't work because you wouldn't be able to see it. But now that I've said that, I wonder if there's like a darker pastel chalk pencil that you could use. So definitely for medium to dark colored foams, pastel chalk pencil is definitely the way to go. And the nice thing too is it doesn't bleed back off the foam onto your hands or your clothes like pen and marker will sometimes. So just a little user tip there. Alrighty, so this template here, see now I make notes on my templates too. I don't know if you can read that. It's not only the thickness of the foam, but also in this case how many pieces I need. I need 8 total of these off of the 6mm foam. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to trace out 8 of these babies. And as you can see, that chalk pencil, chalk pencil works really nice. It's not chalk like chalkboard chalk. I mean, I've never tried writing on a chalkboard with it, but it seems it's a little less dusty than regular chalk. Again, so I'm not sure about all that, but I do know that it works really well for doing this kind of stuff. Alrighty, on we go. Less talk, more trace, right? Or at least trace and talk. Maybe that's the key. I'm going to flip this over because it really doesn't matter what side you trace. That way we get the maximum coverage on our foam here, because premium foam is not cheap. I did the math the other day. Yaya Han's foam is about twice the cost of the SKS Props foam. Like I said, I use different foam on different projects just for the different densities that they bring to the table. And the colors, I'll be honest. I am a bit more 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 2 more. I do have a tendency to like the darker colored foams better for some projects as well. The color of the foam is going to come through, and depending on what my build is, sometimes a light colored foam that works just fine, and in other cases, if again that's going to happen, which it is going to with a foam prop or a foam cosplay suit, you're eventually going to wear through the paint in certain points, and then the color that comes through is the color of the foam underneath. And sometimes dark works better than light. The dark side. Alright, now this one here, it looks like we need 4 total pieces of this particular shape, again out of the 6mm. So that's what we're going to do. All right. And that is my 4th piece of this shape. And looks like we're getting another visit from Jarvis here. Okay. 1, 2, 3, 4. We'll put that aside. We just need one of these. Hey Jarvis, what's up? Did you come to help, or? For those of you who can't see him, well, you can see his head now. He's right there, and I think he's trying to get to me, but unfortunately, I'm working, bud. He's looking at my templates here. Don't be stealing those. I need those. All right, so we need 4 of these. These are the end caps for the jaws. Hello? One second, folks. My wife actually offered to throw the link for the chalk pencils in the chat, and it looks like we had an interruption in the stream. My apologies if you are seeing that. I have confidence it will come back. If not, then we'll be back this afternoon at 3. Either way, we will be back. And there's Jarvis. Okay, dude. Really? This is not going to work, bud. Okay, for those of you who haven't met Jarvis before, please say good morning to Jarvis. He absolutely, I'm not even kidding, I know Jarvis, you're like, oh, it's Iron Man's companion, whatever, but, and you know how in the movies, Jarvis is a big part of the intelligence and the builds and the technology in Iron Man suits. I'm not even kidding. This guy is fascinated by tools and working with my hands and things that I'm doing. I mean, he wants to be right there all the time, obviously. The rest of the times, he's kind of an arrogant bastard. I have 2 other cats, as you can see. There you go. He's after my glasses now. And he gives them absolutely a hard time most of the time. Not all the time, but most of the time. All right, bud, you gotta move. Come on. I'm sorry. You can sit behind me. Try to put you behind me. That's a good place, right? All right. There you go. All right. We'll see if he stays there. Anyway, back to our tracing here. Back to our tracing. Excellent. Good morning. All right. So, again, this is our first time, but we are streaming live to 3 different destinations, and I have no issues with sharing the technology that we're using to do so. It's actually called Restream. There is a fee attached to it. We use OBS as the broadcasting software, and then we using a paid version of Restream, we can stream out to multiple destinations. So that's what we're doing, and it's nice because it has a chat function that will pick up chat conversations from multiple destinations, which is really nice too. So very helpful. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, we have 4 of those. All right, we need 1 of these. Okay, there's 1 of those. We need 1 of these. Need 2 of those and 2 of these in the 6 mil. We're going to need 2 of these in the 10 mil as well. So when we get to the thicker foam, we'll go ahead and cut out a couple more of these. So I'll put this in the 10 mil pile. Alright, this is our the calipers that go on the gear. I actually cut these out with foam, or out of foam, and then I back them with a thin layer of plastic to give them a little bit of rigidity, because they kind of hang out there on their own. So alright, kind of hanging in the breeze, if you will. Now remember, when you go to cut your pieces out after you've drawn or traced your templates, you want to make sure that when you cut the piece out that you cut inside your line, okay? Because if you cut outside the line, you're actually adding a little bit of size to it, and in some cases the pieces, they're very specific in their sizing in order to fit together properly, and that might actually might mess up the assembly of your final product. So pay attention to the cut lines and cut inside your templates markings when you mark them on the foam. Just a little builder tip there for you. I'm going to take advantage of this space here. Like I said, I try to do everything I can to conserve foam, because in the cases of these premium foams, they can be a bit costly. And even the non-premium foams, the less foam you waste, the more foam you have to build, right? And I've got a box of scraps up there that would prove it. Some of these pieces I probably should even be taking from those scraps, now that I think about it. Alright, we need a total of 7 of these. So let's go ahead and get 7 of them marked up. There's 3. Alright, well, I shared this stream out, as I usually do, to a number of different builder groups. Anybody working on anything new and exciting or usual? Joe, that's a good question. No, there really isn't any reason. I think probably more than anything, I just wanted to demonstrate during this video where the lines were. But yeah, that's probably a good idea. I'd probably save even more foam. So, point taken. I'm going to continue these cuts using that method. I have 2 more of these to make and some other straight stuff. So, good call. Joe must be a builder. If not, he's a smart gentleman. But yeah, use the edge of the foam as much as you can. It's less cutting, and as I said, it's also less wasted foam. Alright, there's 2 more of those. Okay. That's going to be our best bet here. Now, I have room for one more bracket piece in there. So I'm going to just, even though we won't use it on this build, I'm going to go ahead and mark it in there and cut it out anyway. Thanks, always looking for more tips. So thought there may be some reason. No, it's just, again, me. And this happens too. When you get to streaming and talking on camera and doing what you do, sometimes you lose track of what you're doing and like look back at it later and go, and kind of like what you did, like, hey, how come you're not putting it right up against the edge of the foam? Makes more sense. A lot of things to keep track of. All right. So I took advantage of this space, that little bit of space there, and cut out an extra piece, which, judging from the people buying these things from our Etsy store, we will be making more. All right. So now the trick is to find a space. Actually, what I'll do when I have bigger pieces like this left over, usually I'll start with the bigger pieces. I actually started with smaller pieces this time, but I'll usually start with the bigger pieces first and get those nailed down and then work the small pieces in around the bigger pieces. But in this case, we actually got lucky. This piece fits perfectly right here. So I'm going to go ahead and get that one traced out. This backs up the jaws. Okay. Set those aside. Now we need a top and a bottom jaw, so we need 2 each of these. Just trying to find the best place. There's just no graceful way to do this because it's such an odd shape. So I think what might be our best bet, I can get 2 of these going this way. Well, it doesn't fit underneath. Although if I cut it like this, and what I'll do at times like this is I'll try to look for a way to put the piece in where it leaves the biggest, most usable pieces of scrap, so then we can use that scrap later again on smaller pieces. So it may seem a bit wasteful right now in the way that I'm setting it up, but later we'll have this whole piece here that we can take a number of pieces out of, and that's why I have a big box of scrap right over there. Alright, so we can get both of these side by side. One thing about the pastel chalk pencils is they're a little bit softer than regular pencils, so you can't press too hard. They will break, the tips will break on you, and then you have to do something kind of loud and annoying like this and sharpen it. Apologies in advance. There we go. we'll need this for our second piece, so we'll just keep that right out there. Oop, you heard it snap. I pushed a little too hard. I was trying to go around the one of the points there, and as I drew it around it, I think I might have sharpened it a little too sharp too. It was a pretty fine point. All right, so there's one set of jaws. And there is my wife throwing a link into chat for anybody who wants to get themselves a pastel chalk pencil. Alright, I have to lift this up just a little bit. The camera and the computer are taking up a little bit of room. So we gotta, alright, that's good placement there. Hopefully this doesn't cut off your view. I think we're good. Okay, there's that. And one more set of jaws. And there we go. That is that. So that is all of our 6mm pieces. Before someone asks the question, the answer is yes. 5mm should work just as well if that's the only thickness of foam that you have. Anything thinner than that, you're going to be dealing with a little too much flexibility. But if you do, try a thinner piece of foam and it works. Let us know. Alright, now we get the heavy duty stuff. This is the 10mm. As you can see, it's got a good thickness to it, a little bit more, it's a little bit more shore hardness, so it's a little bit more dense. And now we're going to cut, or trace, not cut yet, I'm going to trace out the stockier pieces. Starting with the gear. I know it doesn't look like a gear, but it will when we are done. We need one on each side. There goes my pencil again. I'm not going to sharpen it again. I'm going to use it the way it is. Alright, we got two circles. This is some sort of gadget that sits next to the clock timer on the back of the mask. Not entirely sure what its function is, but there it is. I'm going to draw two of these because we double it up to give it a nice bit of thickness. Same thing here with the actual clock timer. And using Joe's suggestion, we are actually going to butt it right up next to the edge of the foam. And the other pieces. Here's another thing, Joe, in answering, if you're still out there, answering your question from earlier, and I just realized it. A number of items that I build, especially when it comes to armor, mechanical, we need two, we got two of those, mechanical armor. A lot of the pieces are mountain and valley cuts on the edges, depending on how they go together in the final assembly. And that's why in the past I've typically allowed space on the edge of the foam in case you need to do any kind of mountain or valley cuts. So that is my reason, and I'm sticking to it. All right, now this here, I think if I remember correctly, I need 4 of these. I need 2 on each side. This is the block that holds the gear away from the headband. So it's kind of it's a gear mount. But again, it needs to be a thicker piece, so we double it up. And we'll just always remember, sticking your tongue out does make for straighter cuts. So if you need straight cuts, then by all means let your tongue hang out. All right, end box. There's one of these, but again, we're going to double it. Yeah, the only thing that there's any kind of mountain or valley cuts on this piece is the band that goes over top of the head, which that is cut out of I believe it's a 2.5 inch wide piece of foam. And then we cut the angles into the segments to give it kind of more of an octagonal. Yeah, it's an octagonal, half of an octagon shape on top of the head. All right, here is our gear mounting cylinders that go on top of the blocks. One of those on each side. Boom. Now we need 2 of these. This is another little doohickey that goes on the back with the collection of objects, which again I have no idea in the original movie prop concept what what they were for, but sometimes they're just there. I've actually worked on movie props before, and there's some things that you put into movie props to make them look visually interesting. There's no real explanation or no reason why they exist other than just to provide visual interest. In the 3D world, modeling and animation for a lot of CGI, computer graphics that goes into movies, especially on spaceships, they call them Nernies and Greeblies, I think, and it's a nonsensical word, but they made no sense. A lot of the stuff that you see on the Millennium Falcon and the Death Star and the different spaceships in different movies, all the details and the little pipes and little portholes and stuff like that, it's just they call them Nernies and Greeblies. It's just there to provide visual interest. All right, these are actually doubled up. These are the mounts that go between the jaw and the gearbox. And rest on the plate that goes around the neck that provides a mounting point for our hardware that goes over top of the head and hooks on. And this is one of the pieces that we use. This is actually what is this called? This is called a faucet connector, a braided faucet hose that goes underneath your sink. And this is actually the same piece that was used, not the exact same piece, but this is the one of the pieces that was used in the original movie prop too. So pretty cool, huh? But anyway, this becomes the mounting point for this, which you'll see when we put it together. I'm going to mark this with an R so I know that they're both, which pieces are which. Got two of those. Those are my last two pieces, huh? Excellent. And then this is for the left side. Excellent. All right. So there's all of our pieces traced, and now we have the exciting job of cutting them out. So let's do that. I'm actually going to swap blades here. This one's been in here for a while. Any questions so far? Other than what we've already seen, and thank you for partaking in the conversation. For those of you who are, and there's no requirement to do so. Actually, you know what I'm going to do real quick? I know what piece this is. I know that this is the lock. Round ones. This is gear block. I'm just going to put a gear on it. Alright. Everything else is pretty much recognizable because of its shape. Yeah, I know what this is. Alright, let's cut some pieces out, shall we? And we'll split that. And then we stack it up. Alright, that's one of the little detail blocks. Let's call it the power supply that goes on the back of the saw mask. I'm not exactly sure what its function is, but when you look at it, you kind of think, you know, maybe it looks like it could be like a power supply. Once we double these blocks up, we are going to run them across a belt sander just to true them up. We won't be doing that in here. I'll do that. I'll probably do that between streams. And then same thing with the gears, the actual gears. I'll explain to you how I depending on how much time we have, because I am doing a hard stop here at noon, so I'll either explain how I did it or how I'm going to do it, depending on how much time we have. But making gears in foam is actually pretty easy, very effective. All right, there's one of those. Again, the round cuts right now, curved cuts I should say, are a little, I'm usually a little bit more exacting, but because I know I'm going to shape these after they're glued together, I'm not worried about it too much. So there's that. We'll just trim that a little bit. our gear blocks. Gear block number 2. And so we don't accidentally cut our templates, I'll move those babies off to the side. Just cut that chunk out so I can work with it. Actually, I'll do the same here. Alright, now we don't need that big piece of foam. We can work with something a little smaller, a little easier to manage. Alright, for those of you who are just joining us, we are working on a reverse bear trap from the movie Saw. This is my original interpretation of the mask in question. Okay, 2 of those, 2 of those. Our timer clock block thing here. Again, not getting too exacting on the shape here because we will be trimming this down, and actually the clock, we're going to, once we assemble it, we're going to wrap it with a like a 1 or 2 millimeter piece of length of foam to give it a little bit of an edge. We'll show you that when we do it. It'll be cool, I promise, and fun, and educational. Alrighty, so there is our timer device. Now we have these circles, and again I'm going to shape them on the belt sander. So, and these don't have to be doubled. These are 10 millimeters thick enough for the gears. One gear. Okay. 2 gears, or maybe first and second gear. Get it? Yeah. Bad jokes, they will never stop. I do apologize in advance. There's one gear mounting circle, cylinder. And another gear mounting cylinder. That is all of the 10 millimeter pieces. Let's move on to the slightly thinner stuff. Set these off to the side so we've got room to operate here. So we did the original one of these for a friend of mine down in Texas. Ordered the first commission. His name is Adam Lane and his company is Dark Creations ATX. If you get a chance, check them out. They've got a lot of cool Halloween based stuff. And we've just collaborated with him and created a couple of new items which I'll be showing you in this afternoon stream. But they're pretty cool, I have to say. A little bit outside of the lines for me and what I usually build. A departure, if you will, away from the superhero stuff, but I actually enjoy building this. It's a break from the usual, and like I said, they turned out really nice. So I'm very happy with how they came out. All right, I'm going to go ahead and cut this group of pieces out as closely as I can. So again, we're not dealing with a huge sheet of foam, but rather a smaller sheet with a group of pieces. That way, again, I don't have to be sitting so far away from the table to do the job. This is an open forum, so if you have questions or comments, something you'd like to share, don't be afraid to jump in. If I see the question or the comment, I will in turn respond. Or if someone else knows the answer, they can respond as well. So either talk to me or talk amongst yourselves. Either way. Feel free. Social distancing does not apply here. These are actually the veins that go in between the jaw pieces, the top and bottom of the jaw pieces. That's what we're cutting out here, in case anyone was wondering. We have 3 different sizes in order to execute the final piece, or final pieces. And that's why we need so many of them, because there's 2 jaws, top and bottom. You know what? These are the shorter pieces. was wondering why they were a different size than the other pieces, and that's because they're different pieces, slightly shorter than the other 8 that we just cut out. Alright, there's those 4 pieces. And we have 4 more of the end caps that go on the end of our jaws. There's those 4. Alright, now we just have this collection, this menagerie of pieces to pull. Put that aside over here so I don't mistake it for a piece of scrap, because it's about the same size as some of the scrap pieces. Alright, there's that piece. Got a bunch of these little brackets, so let's go ahead and cut them out. thought it was a piece of foam. Couldn't figure out why I couldn't see it. It's actually a little piece of plastic sticking up from my cutting mat. Alright. Come on, come on. Static electricity builds up on the blade, so then you got these little scrap pieces sticking to the blade and then sticking to your hand. Come on. Hello. Ah. And I'm sure blowing on it helps. Doubt it. Alright. Just a couple more of these brackets. And come on. Come on. Alright, so that's all the bracket pieces. And now we just have 3 or 4, actually 4, no, 3 circles to cut out, and our caliper arms. This is for the top of our gears, a little washer offset. I do apologize if I lose one of my cameras here on the stream. Jarvis is playing with the cord, and if it unplugs it, we will go dark. Haven't sharpened our blade in a little while. Probably a good time to do so. There's another one of our washers, and now finally our caliper arms. There's one of them. We'll create the holes in these with the with the Dremel tool later after we back them up to the plastic reinforcement pieces that we plan to use to do exactly that, reinforce them. Alright, you can tell when the knife needs to be sharpened, as I've said before, if it starts to dimple or pull on your foam a little bit. So just take a beat, run your knife through the sharpener. If that doesn't work, then it might be time to replace the blade. Okay, so there's our calipers, and that's pretty much the way they look when they're assembled on the side of the mask. All right, our pile of scrap here, which we can, fortunately, the pieces are small enough, so I'm not tempted to actually save any of it. Although at some point I'll probably figure out a use for all of this scrap and be like, oh man, I wish I'd saved all that scrap. But in 7 years of building, I haven't found anything yet. Okay, so when you put your foam on the floor, be careful that you don't roll over it, otherwise you get tire tracks. Fortunately, it didn't roll over the pieces we're going to cut out, so that's a good thing. Let's cut out the jaws. We'll move these back. All right. Static. Gotta love it. Stay. All right. I was thinking about just doing a general cut and then cutting them out of smaller, making the sheet smaller. But we've got a lot of indents here, and I feel like that's a lot of real estate that we might be able to use for other pieces in the future. So we're just going to go ahead, work with the big sheet, cut out our pieces exactly. Okay. There is one of our outer jaw pieces. That's a usable piece of scrap. We'll get some more brackets out of that. Either that, we can use it for a smiley face, or maybe a mustache. Howdy, partner. Oh, there's the camera over there. Hey there. Or a killer monobrow. Alright, I'm done. For now. Mr. Kranick, how in the heck are you? We are making a reverse bear trap mask from the Saw movie. You see all my pieces laid out here? We are just cutting out the final pieces here. And that's what we're building. Good to hear that you are doing well. Hopefully everybody is staying healthy. And if by some chance you are not, then hopefully watching us create this stuff here will be somewhat therapeutic for you. And as always, if you have questions or comments, feel free to fire away. And absolutely. Yeah, I think I saw in one of your posts you just got a Batman cowl. Looked good. Which Batman is that? The Christian Bale Batman? Or as some call it, the Christopher Nolan Batman. I think it was you. There we go. Another jaw piece. And two of those. And then, last but not least, our inner jaw pieces. More scrap that is usable. Put that sheet up out of the way. Now, we have two eyebrows. Do I look surprised? Alright, there's that one. And this one. Alrighty. Our two inner jaw pieces. So there's the outer, there's the inner. Alrighty, well, so as I look at the clock, we're about 15 minutes over. And I said we were going to stop this stream at 12. I'm going to go ahead and stick to that. Back to our face cam here. So anyway, I'm going to go ahead and do some things between now and this afternoon's stream, which of course I will bring you up to date when we pick back up at 3 Chicago time is the next stream. The next stream window will be 3 to 5 this afternoon. So I will bring you up to speed on what I've done in between time. At the same time, we will continue our build, and then I'll show you some new stuff that we've just recently had the pleasure of creating for our client in Texas, and give you some previews of that, and then talk about some new stuff that we're going to be doing going forward, both here as well as in our Etsy store. We'll be putting some products up there, releasing some new stuff. So, as always, thanks for showing up. Like, share, subscribe, comment, be part of the action, because this is what it's all about. We're here to do everything we can to make you guys better builders, and if you don't want to be a better builder, just to give you something to watch, something to do during the rainy days, and in this case, the current situation, everything that we can do to be a little bit of a distraction in the short term. All right, this is James with Laughing Dragon Foundries. We'll see you later this afternoon.